Okay, so I do theater like as a technician, and my sophomore year, I did my first show in high school, and that was SpongeBob the musical, right? So it was very SpongeBob Higgins, and in it, uh, okay, so context. Prior to that, I had done acting. Like was like an intro theater, just for the credit. And towards the end of freshman year, the one of the acting director who I'll say is her name is Miss J. So Miss J was like, I can talk to Miss M, and we had done like arts and crafts projects, and she thought I did really well. She was like, you should be a technician, and I'll talk to Miss M about that. So basically, my sophomore year, I was able to skip the intro and intermediate levels, and I just got straight into advanced. And yeah, and over the summer, they released like the list for the people who would be in the advanced company, and I was there. And there was this guy whose name is like, he's very Green Higgins. We'll call him. Oh God, how do you even call him anything? We'll call him just like, I don't even know. I'll just call him Timothy. So Timothy was like, "Hey, we should be friends." So that's how I made a friend, and he was like really cool, and he does theater with me. But I'll talk about details as they're relevant. So yeah, basically it came time to do like auditions or whatever. And for auditions for technician, you basically just fill out an L Higgins diabolical form where like they tell you your eye color and how big your penis is, and just things of that nature to kind of gauge what kind of crew they should put you on. Like, so if you're like kind of stupid and you can't do anything, they'll put you on set crew. Just so that way they can like, you know, they can like, just do things or whatever. But yeah, just that way you can't do anything. But basically, I got put on the props crew because like I said, I was the arts and crafty stuff, and I didn't have any other practical skills. Like, I didn't know how to use power tools. I couldn't sew. I didn't know anything about how to do like how to program lighting or soundboards or how to do microphones or anything like that. So then they were just like, or Miss M was just like, we should put you on the props crew. And my two crew heads, I'll basically give you the roster, right? So it was me, who didn't know anything. Then it was, God, who else was it? It was the two crew heads. One of them was named Samantha, and the other one of them, we'll say his name was Qui-Gon Jinn, because he kind of had the hairstyle. So yeah, I was with Samantha and Qui-Gon Jinn. And then there was this other guy who was on the lighting crew, but he was the spotlight guy. And like we weren't running spotlights yet because we just started. So basically, like before they needed it, he would just be helping us. And his name was Higgins Squared, because at the time he had the same name as me, IRL. So Higgins Squared. I'm gonna forget all these names, so I'll just start referring to them as whatever. And then there was, God, who else was there? It was them. Brain fog for malnutrition, which is not optimal. Um, oh yeah, and then Timothy was also helping us at the time. Yeah, so basically it was that was like the roster. This roster would change basically. So immediate red flag was that Samantha, high key, um like there's like Rabute Gilliman, and he's like the best Primarch obviously in 40k because like he's basically the god of spreadsheets. So Samantha was kind of like the opposite of that. Samantha wasn't organized. Samantha had the most practical skills out of all the technicians. Like, they could literally do anything. But the issue was they like weren't good at instructing people. So basically, it ended up just having to be like Qui-Gon Jinn doing that. But Qui-Gon Jinn, unfortunately, like had work all the time. So, and they just never showed up. So it was just them. So anyway, I ended up kind of like taking on like I basically ended up being acting crew head in their absence, and basically Samantha just kind of kept doing their own thing and doing all these Higgins things. So basically, Miss M was like, "I'm gonna give you a promotion." So then I got promoted, and everyone was really really happy for me, and it was like a thing. Last time I ever felt excited about anything in theater, because I would learn about how diabolical Higgins it is. And then, yeah. So then came the order, the like basically the directors had like wanted a bunch of like really really cool. This is not a happy story, by the way. This is like a story about my own failure, basically. So basically, the directors were like, "We want all." Oh yeah, there was this other girl whose name was Izzy, and then she ended up left. She would like write queer fan fiction about different people in the theater department, and she also ended up failing all of her classes and kind of dropping out. That yeah, so it was a bit strange, Higgins. Uh, yeah. The good thing is, though, that nobody was caught masturbating in the lighting booth, because I know that that's a really frequent thing to end up happening, is that Higgins diabolical people will be straight masturbating in the theater space, and having sex in the theater space, and just like, yeah. So thankfully that didn't happen during SpongeBob, which is L. Higgins diabolical good. So yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, basically we got the orders, and the director was like, "I want these jellyfish puppets, and I want them to undulate." And she basically asked us to create an army of giant pink penises, that yeah, basically. And then she wanted one of them that was literally huge. And anyway, Samantha was like, "Why don't we just order umbrellas?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's just do umbrellas." But then the director was like, "No, we should make them from scratch." So anyway, I ended up making a design that was practically an umbrella. But it ended up not working. And we didn't, and like I said, neither one of us were really good at like organization, because I was literally 14 at the time. And yeah, they also wanted a plethora of other props. Basically, we spent, and also they want, yeah, but I'm mostly focusing on the jellyfish right now. Yeah. So then I created during one of our build days, which is basically whenever everyone in the company, actors included, comes in on a Saturday and just starts like basically building stuff. So yeah, during that time, we started building the jellyfish. But we had them work on other props because we genuinely had no plans, and we actually had no idea what we were doing. And our directors didn't really step in and help us at all, which is, you know, one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of Miss M, is because she kind of just like lets people fail whenever she has the potential to help them, and whenever because there's like 100 something people in the company, so it's not like if you mess up and something is your fault, like if it's your fault and there's 100 people counting on you, so it's not great. And that's kind of that's why I don't like Miss M, is because Miss M is diabolical. And basically she like, I don't know, I think she might have worked at like Arby's prior to her job here. That's the only way, because she runs the whole place like a green Arby's. Just like shit on the floor, shit everywhere, rubbing shit on the walls. Not metaphorical shit as in junk, like literal shit. Like I said, we had a lot of Higgins diabolical things happen. But yeah, basically I create the first undulating penis. And basically the way I created it was I took a PVC pipe. Then I got a disc of foam that was whatever the hell you call it. It was not a proper disc because I didn't know how to cut or do anything like that. So basically, then I got and then I basically stuck it like halfway through there, used hot glue to seal it in place, and of course the foam melted, and I'm pretty sure it gave me brain damage. And I'm just rolling off the Higgins fumes, kind of like diabolical Higgins with the nitrous Higgins, and basically, it was like that. And then I got a trash bag and filled it full of shit, just like foam scraps and other flammable materials. And then I shoved it on top of there, and then I just covered it in this they were pink trash bags. And then I just got like screws and nails and other shit, and then just started putting like ribbons and shit all over it. And it really, really just kind of looked like hideous. Like I said, it kind of looked like the inside of somebody's ass. It was really, really ugly. And then, of course, it was kind of, how like a girl will have like a really nice long dress, and whenever she goes to walk, she has to kind of pick up the dress in front of her. It was kind of like that, except, and yeah, basically the thing was like 7 feet tall and was like 12 feet tall with the puppeteer holding it up. But of course, I'm not an architect. I am a goddamn architect or whatever. But I'm not an architect or anything, so it basically just kind of ended up bowing and leaning and, you know, not optimal, suboptimal. Yeah, but yeah. So then, oh, yo, there's a squirrel right here. What's my recording at? 10 minutes. All right. I have 37 minutes of gameplay is why, because I have 37 minutes of gameplay. Okay, yeah. So basically, all that happened. And basically, I expected the director and everyone else to like look at this monstrosity. Oh no, we used polyfill. I didn't use the inside was made of polyfill. That's what it was. So yeah, polyfill on the inside looked pretty great. The first one did. Yeah, and then yeah. So that one actually looked fine. Like that was actually probably the only good puppet we did was the one I made at first. The issues that we ran into after that were mostly that we didn't have enough materials to replicate them. So if you've ever watched Rick and Morty, the decoy episode where it's like the decoys just kind of get worse and worse over time until eventually they're made out of like straw and they look like the straw dude from Wizard of Oz. That's kind of what it was like. Like the first jellyfish looked amazing. And then, after that, they all just kind of started looking poor. So then, anyway, we started working on Big Bertha, which, I'll get to that. I'll say that one last. So anyway, the next one, we ran out of polyfill. So I was like, what else can we use? What else can we stuff in this trash bag? And the assistant technical director at the time, which that's my current role in high school theater, is that. So anyway, the assistant technical director was like, okay, her name will be Jank Higgins. So Jank Higgins was like, what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to take some like fabric and everything, and you're just going to want to shove it in there and then put it on a pole. But the issue is that, like, if you've ever done your laundry, which, I don't know much about, I'm kind of a disgusting bastard. If you've ever done your laundry, you'll know that it's heavy. Clothes are heavy. So yeah, basically, we get this thing up there, and this thing's way, way, way too heavy. So anyway, we start making a bunch like that. We're just kind of shoving whatever we can in there. We start doing that with the foam. Like I said, we just kind of start putting whatever we can in these jellyfish Higgin devices. And as we had 2 months to do all this, but like I said, we're not moving like Rabute Gilliman. We're genuinely moving like we're not moving like Rabute Gilliman. We're moving like the Emperor of Mankind, because we don't know exactly. We're not great with organization, and we're just kind of letting everybody do their own thing. And yeah, also throughout this, my crew just kind of kept getting switched out. We had these things called tactors, which were technicians who were actually actors, but they weren't needed yet because they were in the ensemble. So basically, whenever it came time for ensemble to go, I lost my entire crew. So it was just me and Samantha. And then we also had this guy who might have been a PDF file Higgins. Actually, like on a real note, I actually think he likes him young. That guy was actually really creepy. And maybe I'll talk about that later, but on a different video. But basically, yeah, it was like that. And, yeah, basically like that. And, where was I? Shoot, I got lost. Sorry, I have really bad ADHD. I don't know if you could tell, but basically, we present, and then we do the big one. So the big one, we get this huge foam, we waste all the foam boards that we have, that the department had, and we flow Kerr-genuinely create, I just dropped my phone. Oh my God. Anyway, we flow Kerr-genuinely create these like this like foam thing with like a 7-foot diameter, and then we basically just we start stuffing trash bags on there, and then we have this mountain of trash bags, and we just wrap tape all over it. So this thing kind of looks like a UFO if it was created in India. So not great, not not amazing, by the way. It looks less like something that's Steve Irwin would see in the ocean, and more like something that Godzilla would pull out of his ass, like something like he ate a piece of a building and shat it out. So not not good, not good at all actually. But yeah, basically. Uh, and the thing was too, it was heavy because, like I said, we couldn't use polyfill anymore, so it was heavy. So it was like the thing was probably 40 pounds, and like I said, we had to use really thick PVC pipe, but we ended up running out of PVC pipe, so we had to use connectors, and we didn't know about PVC glue because, like I said, none of us had any experience. So basically, hello there. So basically, what ended up happening was that. The guy who they gave it to, the ensemble member who they gave it to, was like genuinely like the. I don't mean to be mean, but he wasn't really strong. He was probably like 4'7" and like 110 pounds. So he was not, or not 110, probably like 100 pounds. So he couldn't lift this thing. So, and then this was at the point whenever the directors had seen all the jellyfish, and it kind of became apparent that it didn't look good. So then they're like, okay, what do we need to do? Because the show was now in like a quarter of 2 months, so like 2 weeks. So, we're all kind of like stressing now because we had other props to do and like things were going wrong. And the kind of realization kind of hit us that I guess it didn't hit us. I guess the idea that we actually had to get things done just never rang on us. And of course, Miss M didn't take any responsibility for this, even though, we were pretty much fully autonomous, which that style of leadership is kind of a double-edged sword because it'll either lead to like, it'll either be like someone who's like a naturally good leader and has experience can do it and really thrive, but also it'll be like, someone like me who didn't have any experience and didn't know what they were doing and kind of fumble. And, then resources have to be dedicated to other things. So now, we have, because it's embarrassing, it really is. Kind of, it fell out of my hands at that point. It kind of became obvious that I didn't really know what I was doing. And Samantha kind of started genuinely, like, stressing. So they kind of, like, me and them kind of stepped back, and then PDF Higgins and Miss M kind of started doing most of the work. And also then the cherry on top was that we ended up just ordering umbrellas, and then, with LED lights, and then, taking all the shit that we put on the jellyfish and attaching it to the umbrellas, and then those became our new jellyfish. And then that scene was amazing. Everyone afterwards kept complimenting me on it. And it kind of actually hurt my feelings a bit because, like I said, I felt like I had messed up. Obviously now, in hindsight, 3 years later, I very obviously realized that, it was not my fault. I was put in an impossible situation and expected to just thrive, whenever Miss M very clearly had the power to do something about it, but just didn't. That's kind of a recurring thing about her, is the fact that she like has the ability to do things, but would rather just kind of like talk shit about it and not do it. So kind of sucked. Yeah. Definitely Jellyfish Higgins for sure. No one ever, talked to me about it afterwards. I was never like ever given like anything about it. Nobody was ever kind of like joking about it with me in like a rude way. So I guess that's fine. I guess it didn't have any long-lasting impact on me as a technician that I kind of fumbled my first leadership position so hard. And yeah, so the jellyfish did not work out very well. We ended up, yeah, but anyway, I guess, let's see here. Like I said, I recorded 37 minutes of me just playing games on my Xbox this morning. So that way I could talk about the jellyfish and just kind of like do one of these like types of videos where you just like talk. So I have about 17 minutes of time left to fill. So, I guess with that, I can kind of talk about, Sandy's gadgets. So like I said, we were doing the SpongeBob musical, and in it, there was supposed to be a part where the ensemble just like comes out with all these gadgets, and Higgins Squared and Izzy, like, I don't want to be rude, but like they weren't very well-rounded individuals. They were kind of doughy. Neither one of them was really paying attention at all. They just kind of like to give you an example, my first impression of Higgins Squared was that they were like shining a flashlight directly in their eyeball and hitting themselves in the head with it, and said that it like they built up an immunity to it. And I already talked about Izzy. So yeah, not great first impressions of people. And they were nice people, but you know, they just were a little bit Higgins. So yeah, so basically we needed to build a bunch of like gadgets for Sandy or whatever. So we started doing that, and that kind of became like their task that they would do, is that anytime we needed like a smaller prop made, we'd give it to them. Because like I said, everyone there was like super artistic, so like, you know, nobody was a bad technician. It was just that like there was like skills outside of being crappy that were needed, that nobody on the team could provide, which was unfortunate, except for Miss M, because she's the manager for the Performing Arts Center at my school, and she just didn't do it for some reason. She didn't help anybody for some reason. So yeah, that kind of like became their thing. But then it was revealed that the choreographers, who, you know, are the students in charge of like they're not like the dance captains, but basically the assistant directors, who are the choreographers as well, you know, different from the assistant technical directors because they're helping with acting, basically like hadn't put it in that, like, they hadn't put in the blocking that the gadgets were going to be there. So we basically just created a bunch of props for nothing, and we spent the majority of our time during SpongeBob the props crew building props that never got used. So like we just built props that never got used. Like nobody could hit, like in transfers and whatnot, like props got damaged. Like there were a couple really good props, but like a lot of it didn't go very well. And it high-key was like kind of imposter syndrome, not imposter from Among Us syndrome.
So stupid.
But because people afterwards would be like, OMG, you're doing so good, Higgins. And it didn't feel right, because a lot of the stuff that they were complimenting was not me who did it. Like, for instance, Larry the Lobster had these 2 giant weights that, you know, ended up just being made by the varsity class. So the varsity class ended up building those. And like I said, the jellyfish were kind of done by everybody else because it was obvious that we couldn't do it. So it just kind of became like I kept getting complimented for things that I didn't do. So it made me kind of like, and obviously, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, because at the time, my parents were still they didn't really like the idea of me being a technician. So I took the compliments, and like, you know, I did all that because I wanted, you know, to kind of show to them that I was like I was decent enough to keep doing this, if that makes sense. But at the same time, like, it was kind of like, I was getting compliments for something that I didn't do, which, you know, wasn't great. And, just wasn't great. Another thing, too, is the fact that there was a huge, like, juxtaposition. like my like directors were very, very quick to give criticism, but very reluctant to give praise. Or actually, I wouldn't say reluctant to give praise. They were reluctant to give appreciation, like, deep appreciation for the technicians, but like very, very quick to give praise. So like they would switch between the two a lot. So like they were like super, super warm and fuzzy one day and telling us that we did a great job. And then like in the blink of an eye, they were like, completely cold. And, like I heard from the stage manager or the ASM who I knew at the time basically was like they were doing nothing but talking shit about you and Samantha, which, sucked. And also, there's this thing at my school where like it's really, really hard for like technicians to like keep being in tech. And part of the reason why is because they're always like, we don't like Miss M. And I agree, I don't like Miss M. Like, I got a job working as a technician for private companies at my school. And, like, Miss M didn't tell, because we did this thing at the start of varsity junior year where, like, they kind of told us, like, how to find, like, job postings as someone wanting to go into the, like, theater industry, like, greater. And basically, like, I had mentioned it during one of our competitions that, like, I wanted to, like, do that. And they were like, they never said anything about that, like, position. But then this other student who, well, I won't give them a name because they're not relevant right now. They basically were just like, oh my gosh, Miss M, here, you're gonna need another technician. So then I learned that you can literally get a job as a technician, which is insane, like, as an event worker. And so, like, yeah, that's another example of Miss M just, like, not, like, doing that. And Miss M has really come to, like me. In fact, I wouldn't say I'd be wrong for saying that I'm probably her favorite technician. And I really would like to tell her off and just kind of tell her, like, how I actually feel about her leadership and whatever. But I can't really do that because if I do that, then I will hurt her feelings. Because I'm not a bad person, or I guess I'm morally questionable at times, at best. I wouldn't necessarily describe myself as, like, the best person, but I don't know. I just don't think I could live with the guilt of just, like, knowing that somebody really likes me, or, like, an older person really likes me, and then, just being cruel to them. Because, like, they're not a good teacher or tech director, but they're not a bad person. Like, whenever they're outside of the role, like, they're fine. Like, they're nice, they're friendly. It's just that they're not good at their job. So the responsibility falls on to other people. And it kind of fell upon me a lot in the last year. And because of that, it's really, really hard for me to separate knowing that she's a good person with knowing that she's probably she might be the reason for, like, you know, a lot of negative emotion I might feel about theater. So yeah. Hold up. My friend Timothy is texting me. Said, what will mine be about? I don't know. Make me the thumbnail. Because I'm going to have Timothy make the thumbnail. Because I don't want to. Or I guess I could. I could make the thumbnail. I just don't really want to. At the time. Because, it would be Higgins. And I don't know. Because I don't know if my parents are going to ask me to do something or whatever. And then I'm just not going to get the chance to. So I'm just not even going to try. I'm just going to ask him to make me the thumbnail. So yeah. So that's kind of my opinions on Miss M. Yeah. There's another example. There's, like, a bunch of examples of, like, things that she does that are Higgins. Which in other videos that I'll upload, I'll keep talking about it, and then I'll talk about other things. Another thing that I want to talk about is I just got back from Colorado, with my family. And I want to talk to you about the time that my grandmother took she took the flowers from a suicide memorial. So basically, there was in the town that they live in, which I won't specify because it's a small town, and I don't want people who I know in my personal life to find out about this channel, because I'm talking about people. And if the channel gets too big, I'll just like delete it, obviously. What inspired me to make these videos was like the feed hadn't really been providing, um, as of late, the feed had felt kind of dry. But obviously the feed always provides. So I just started listening to, like, I had started listening to the guy. If you know about loser maxing, I had started listening to his channel, and I was like, huh, this guy just talks about his life all the time. I wonder if I should do the same thing, because I had always wanted to start making YouTube videos. I didn't know what I was gonna do. So yeah. And then also just like, I don't know, the format that I'm working with is fine for right now. I eventually would like to make more serious videos. I would really like to start making media analysis videos, but those are a lot of work and I'm kind of lazy. So I might just kind of do these like weird Higgins diabolical rants, where I just talk about things. This one was less of a rant and more of just like, I had asked Timothy, I was like, what should I talk about? And Timothy was like, just talk about the jellyfish thing. So I was like, okay, I'll talk about the jellyfish. I think I'll talk about my grandmother some other time. I feel like my great grandmother is probably like worth her own video entirely. Like I said, she took flowers from a suicide memorial, a child suicide memorial, and then the dad saw her and got really angry at her. So yeah. I had watched another video, I can't remember, but there's just like a ton of videos out there on YouTube that just have like, in between 5,000 and 15,000 views and like less than that, where it's just like people, usually dudes, just kind of talking about like the diabolical Higgins things that happen to them in life. So I thought I'll just talk about that here. And then I kind of redid my channel. On my channel already is like stop motions and like other, like I think like there's a single animation video just like of like other stuff that I've done. Like I think the bio of my channel is I want to make something but I don't know what. I want to make something but I don't know what. So yeah. But I think I'll start uploading these kinds of videos on my channel. And I'll see if I get any traction. There's a chance that nobody watches this, which is like a definite probability. The way that I made this video was I just recorded myself playing video games for 37 minutes, and then I went on a walk and just started like talking to myself, which I guess now I'm not talking to myself, but I'm talking to a camera, or I guess not a camera, a microphone. The audio is separate from this, so I think I'll just take the audio from this and then I'll throw it into Audacity, and then I'll add some Higgins diabolical sound effects, not to anything in particular, just maybe some random sounds, some vine booms, some trumpets, some whatever I feel like. Yeah, honestly right now I'm just kind of talking to fill the time. Let me think about some other topics that I might talk about in future videos. Like I said, my grandmother and all of her shenanigans. Obviously there's that guy who I have to talk about because I feel like there's so much lore with him. And then who else? I might talk about my book that I would like to write at some point. Because I would like to write a book. I would like to call it Skyfall, and talk about Emperor Tannis and Sola and all these other characters who I've created in my mind that I'm just starting to put to paper. Maybe I could talk about my family a little bit. My family's kind of weird and honestly kind of a little fucked up. So if I did do that, I might actually start making videos kind of like in the style of loser maxing, which I kind of don't want. Or maybe I'll just tell fun stories. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just keep talking about theater. I just don't want to be too vague or too specific, because I don't want to be so vague that people don't know what I'm talking about. And then I don't want to be so, there. My friend used to beat his shit in like the bathroom in middle school. That was like a big thing. Like he disclosed that to me a little bit ago. He was like, yeah, I used to like genuinely stroke my shit in the bathroom. Like I used to like pull up Pornhub on my phone and start playing with my penis. And honestly, I was like, dude, you can't do that. And obviously, he was all like, then I was like, is that actually true? And then he just started giggling and laughing. And I think he regrets telling me that, because like my normal reaction to that is like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? So yeah, finding out that my friend was like a school masturbator was kind of like disheartening for me, because I was never friends with people who were like normal. So it was kind of disheartening to find out that the one dude who I thought was like semi-normal was like genuinely masturbating in school. And there's a lot of people masturbate in school. And I don't think that that's inherently like awful. I mean, when you gotta go, you gotta go. I'm just kidding. But like, you know, obviously, it's a bit Higgins diabolical. And you know what? If you want to be Goon Higgins and Porn Higgins and, you know, diabolical Higgins, then like, you're free to do that. It's just that like, it's just interesting to me. Another interesting thing to me is the fact that I actually hope that I'm thinking about this now. I'm hoping that me saying like terms like goon and like I hope this makes it past the review stage, because I'll be really upset if this does not make it past the review stage. All right, I'm gonna go now. Have a nice day.